There are habits we inherit, habits we borrow, and habits we don't even know we have. And then there are the ones we choose, the ones that shape us, bend us toward better, lift us beyond the ordinary. I have seen lives changed, not by grand gestures, not by the thunderous applause of the world, but by the quiet shift of small, deliberate habits. If there is one voice you will hear every single day of your life, it is your own. The words you whisper in your mind, the phrases you toss at yourself when no one is listening, the quiet judgments, the sighs of disappointment, the unspoken criticisms. These shape you more than the words of any stranger, friend, or foe. And yet too often we speak to ourselves in ways we would never dare speak to another. We call ourselves names. We belittle our efforts. We dismiss our pain. I'm so stupid. I'll never get it right. Why am I like this? Words thrown like stones at our own reflection, bruising the spirit before the world even has a chance to touch us. But let me ask you this. If a child stood before you, eyes wide, heart open, looking to you for comfort, for guidance, for love, would you speak to them the way you speak to yourself? Would you tell them they are not enough? Would you remind them of every mistake they have ever made? Would you strip them of their dignity with a single careless sentence? No, you would kneel. You would soften your voice. You would lift their chin and tell them, you are learning, you are growing, you are more than one bad day, one misstep, one flaw. So why then do you not offer yourself the same grace? Why do you not hold your own heart with gentle hands? You must talk to yourself with kindness, not just when you have done something well, not just when you feel accomplished or strong or proud, but especially when you falter, especially when you feel like you are failing, especially when the world seems to be against you. That is when you need your own kindness the most. Because hear me when I say this, your body listens, your heart listens, your mind absorbs every word. And when you feed yourself cruelty, you become heavy with it. But when you feed yourself kindness, when you remind yourself, I am trying, I am worthy, I am enough, something shifts. The weight begins to lift, the path forward becomes clearer. Do not wait for someone else to tell you that you are worthy. Do not wait for applause, for validation, for someone else's permission to be gentle with yourself. You have the power. You have always had the power. So today, start small. When you catch yourself speaking harshly, stop, take a breath, replace the words. I am doing my best. I am learning. I am still growing. Say them, even if you do not believe them yet. Say them until they settle in your bones. Say them until they become the truth you live by. Because one day you will look back and realize the kindest thing you ever did was change the way you spoke to yourself. And in that moment, everything else will follow. Before the streets hum with footsteps, before the emails start flooding in, before the weight of the day presses against your chest, there is a moment of silence, a moment that belongs to no one but you, a moment untouched by expectation, free from demands, separate from the noise of the world. And in that moment, there is power. Most people wake up because they have to. An alarm clock blaring, a job waiting, a task demanding to be done. But what if you woke up because you chose to? What if, instead of dragging yourself out of bed at the last possible second, rushing through your morning, spilling coffee on your shirt as you run out the door, what if you gave yourself the gift of time? When you wake up before the world does, you reclaim something sacred. In those quiet golden hours before the sun stretches across the sky, you are not just waking up earlier, you are waking up to yourself. You are giving yourself space to breathe before life asks anything of you. You are stepping into the day on your own terms. And let me tell you, there is a difference between moving through your morning with intention and being dragged into your day like a prisoner to the clock. When you wake up before the world, you meet yourself first. Not your inbox, not the news, not the demands of your job or your family or the outside world, just you. Maybe you sit in silence with a warm drink in your hands, letting your thoughts settle like snow in a quiet field. Maybe you stretch, move your body, feel the way your muscles wake up with you. Maybe you write your dreams, your thoughts, your worries, your gratitude. Maybe you just sit and listen to the sound of your own breathing, a rhythm so steady, so faithful, yet so often ignored. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you feel what it's like to begin your day with peace instead of panic. Because here's the truth. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you begin with chaos, you carry that chaos with you. If you begin with stillness, with clarity, with presence, you move through your day with a different kind of strength. A quiet strength, a rooted strength. You don't have to wake up hours before dawn. You don't have to follow some rigid morning routine that someone else swears by. You only have to wake up with intention. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the world comes knocking. Just enough time to remind yourself that your life is yours. Because when you wake up before the world does, you are not just rising from sleep, you are rising into yourself. There is a kind of silence that makes people uncomfortable, the kind that lingers when the conversation ends, when the room empties, when the world quiets, and you are left alone with nothing but yourself. For some, solitude feels like a punishment, a void, a hollow space to be filled with noise, with distractions, with anything that keeps them from sitting in the stillness of their own company. But I want you to hear me when I say this. Solitude is not your enemy. It is not something to be feared, avoided, or drowned out. Solitude is a gift, a sanctuary, a place where you meet yourself, not as the world sees you, not as others expect you to be, but as you truly are. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in your own presence and didn't reach for your phone, turn on the TV, or scroll through the endless noise of other people's lives? When was the last time you allowed yourself to just be, without apology, without distraction, without the need for someone else to validate your existence? It is a strange thing to sit with yourself in silence. At first, it can feel like an ache, like something is missing, but that ache, that discomfort, that is only because you have spent too long running from yourself, too long believing that happiness only exists in the presence of others, too long thinking that being alone means being lonely. But solitude and loneliness are not the same. Loneliness is an emptiness, a longing for something outside of yourself. But solitude is fullness. It is standing in your own presence and realizing you are whole, all on your own. And when you embrace solitude, truly embrace it, something shifts. You stop searching for people to complete you because you are already complete. You stop filling the silence with meaningless noise because you have learned to find peace in your own thoughts. You stop fearing being alone because you have built a life where your own company is enough. And make no mistake, this is not about pushing people away. It is not about isolating yourself or believing you do not need love, connection, or community. No, love, this is about learning that you are your own foundation. that your worth is not tied to who surrounds you, that your happiness is not dependent on someone else's presence. So sit with yourself, walk alone, eat alone, travel alone, stand in the quiet of your own soul and do not flinch. Because when you embrace solitude without fear, you will find something that no relationship, no friendship, no amount of external validation could ever give you. A love for yourself so deep, so unwavering, that even when the world walks, not every fight is worth your fire. Not every argument needs your voice. Not every battle requires you to step onto the battlefield. But how often do we find ourselves pulled into conflicts that drain us, wear us down, and leave us questioning why we even engaged in the first place? We live in a world that teaches us to defend ourselves at all costs, to be right, to have the last word, to make sure no one disrespects us, underestimates us, or walks away thinking they won. But tell me this, what is winning if the cost is your peace? What is victory if it leaves you exhausted, bitter, or filled with regret? There are battles that shape us, battles that matter, battles that are worth every ounce of our strength. But then there are the small battles, the petty disagreements, the passing insults, the misunderstandings that don't need to turn into wars. And if you are not careful, you will find yourself fighting every single one of them, wondering why your spirit feels so heavy. Not every battle needs a response. The rude stranger at the store, the co-worker who takes credit for your work, the family member who always has something to say about your life, the online comment meant to provoke you, the person who cut you off in traffic, the friend who misunderstood your intentions. Do you really need to spend your energy proving a point? Do you really need to correct them, argue with them, demand that they see things your way? Or is your peace worth more? Because that's the real question. What do you value more, being right or being at peace? Some battles, when you walk away, you don't lose, you win. You win back your time, your energy, your calm. You win back your joy. And let me tell you, there is something powerful about a person who does not let every little thing shake them, about a person who knows their worth and does not feel the need to prove it at every turn. This does not mean you allow yourself to be walked over. It does not mean you swallow your voice when something truly matters. It simply means you choose your battles with intention. You ask yourself, does this truly matter? Will this affect my life tomorrow, a year from now? Is this worth my peace? And if the answer is no, let it go. Not every slight needs your response. Not every insult needs your retaliation. Not every misunderstanding needs to be fought over. Some things are best left where they lie, because the moment you pick them up, they become yours to carry. And you, my dear, were not meant to carry so much. You were meant to be free. So put down the small battles. Walk away with your head high. And know that in letting go, you are not weak, you are wise. This body you live in, it has carried you through every moment of your life, through laughter that shook your ribs, through tears that left you breathless, through restless nights and long aching days, through every storm, through every sunrise. And yet, how often do you stop to thank it? We are taught to judge our bodies before we are taught to love them. From an early age, we learn to criticize. Too big, too small, too soft, too stiff, not fast enough, not strong enough. We look in the mirror and see flaws before we see strength. We punish our bodies with exhaustion, with starvation, with overwork, with neglect, all while expecting them to keep carrying us. But I am telling you now, Your body is not your enemy. It is not a project to be perfected. It is not something you need to shrink, sculpt, or fix before you are allowed to love it. It is yours, it is home, and it is time you start treating it like it is worthy of your care. Move your body like you love it. Not to punish it, not because you hate it, not because the world told you that you need to change, but because it deserves to be celebrated. Move because you can, because movement is life, and life is not meant to be spent sitting still. Stretch in the morning and feel the way your muscles wake up with you. Walk just to feel the ground beneath your feet. Dance when no one is watching, not to look good, but to feel good. Run, not to chase a number on a scale, but to feel the wind kiss your skin. Move gently, move freely, move wildly, move with joy. And if you have spent years being at war with your body, let today be the day you begin to make peace. Touch your skin with kindness. Feed yourself with love, not restriction. Rest when you are tired. Strengthen yourself, not to fit an image, but to live fully in this world. Because when you move your body like you love it, you do not just become stronger, you become free. Free from shame, free from guilt, free from the idea that your body is something to be battled with. You begin to trust it, to listen to it, to honor it. And in doing so, you learn something powerful. Your body has never been the problem. The way you were taught to see it was. So move, not for them, but for you. Move because your body was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to be a celebration. The world will tell you to hold tight to what you have, to guard your time, your money, your energy, to protect your heart, to be careful with your kindness, to give only when there is something in it for you. But love, let me tell you a truth that the world often forgets. You do not lose by giving. You do not become less. You do not run out. In fact, the more you give, the more you become. Now, I am not telling you to pour yourself empty, to stretch yourself thin, to break yourself in the name of generosity. No, giving should never leave you hollow. But I am saying this: you are capable of more than you think. You have more to offer than you realize. And the moment you stop counting what you have to lose and start seeing what you have to give, your life will change. Give your time. Sit with someone who needs to be heard. Call a friend who has been quiet for too long. Show up for people, not just when it is easy, not just when it is convenient, but when they need you the most. Give your kindness. Hold the door open. Smile at a stranger. Offer grace when it is undeserved. Speak words that heal instead of words that wound. Give your patience to the child who is still learning, to the elder who moves slower than you, to the person at the register who is doing their best, to yourself when you fall short, when you stumble, when you do not yet know the way. Give your wisdom. Share what you have learned. Pass down your stories. Teach without pride. Help without expecting praise. Give forgiveness, not because they always deserve it, but because you do. Because carrying resentment is a weight that slows you down, and your soul was meant to move freely. And sometimes give what you think you cannot afford to lose. Give your last good word, your last bit of hope. Give even when you are not sure you have enough, because more often than not, you do. Because giving, real giving, does not leave you with less. It multiplies. It stretches your heart, expands your spirit, makes room for more love, more grace, more life than you ever thought possible. And let me tell you something else. When you give more than you think you can, life has a way of giving back. Not always in the way you expect, not always from the person you gave to, but in ways that will remind you you are not meant to move through this world with closed fists and a guarded heart. You are meant to overflow.